thumbs up and we're live, ready to go.
Wow, that was short and quick.
Short and quick. Didn't have much to say except for welcome to the Heights Unedited podcast, a podcast featuring real conversations about real life where we dig deeper into the weekend message as well as answering your questions on faith, culture, and life. I'm the Bald Eagle here with Pastor John.
Wow, that was official. You never go official.
I know.
I'm still waiting for you to jingle that, by the way.
Someday, maybe it'll happen. We got to get the worship team involved to make that a jingle.
Yep.
I'm excited today because you can tell we have if you're watching right now, we have the tan side of the table with the tan shirts.
Okay.
And then we have the black shirts on this side of the table over here. But we do have something that is a Heights Unedited first time. We've got two guests on the podcast.
Only a sports fanatic would notice that there are teams at
there are
the
teams right now. Yeah. We have the home team and the away team right now. No, not the away team. We have family from a different part of the world with us. Landen and Jenny, welcome. So glad that you guys are joining us. It's been awesome to have you guys here this weekend.
It's great to be with you guys. We're excited to join the podcast.
Yes, thank you.
First time we've had two guests. So
I know.
Wow.
Like
We'll
we're just branching out.
And
First
we are
time
matching. Like we've really got.
I know.
Yeah.
This
I
is
know.
great.
Well, and last week was the first time I'd been on with a guest at all.
Right.
So
you
but
think you
for
can handle two now?
I don't know. We'll
Wow.
see.
This is gonna be difficult. Well, Landen and Jenny, would you just give us a quick, for anyone that wasn't here this weekend, has no idea who are these people on the podcast right now? Who are you guys, and what are you doing here with us on the podcast?
Awesome. Yeah. So we are Heights Global Partners. We are missionaries in the Czech Republic, serving with Josiah Venture, working with youth and local church, and trying to help equip and build up the young generation in Central and Eastern Europe. I'm originally from Southern California and was born and raised there. And in 2005, went on a trip to the Czech Republic, and God used that to just grow my heart for missions. And my wife is from the Czech Republic.
That's right. So you might detect an accent today, even though I will try very hard not to make mistakes. But it's good to be here. And it's surreal that we met 2005 on a mission trip where I was an intern just serving in my country with high school students. And Landen came to teach English on one of the mission trips.
Yeah.
And we did not start dating during that mission trip, guys. That's not the right place to do that.
I know. All of a sudden, all the young people are signing up for mission trips.
I was going to say, do you promote like the Czech trip in the summer? You're like, you never know what'll happen.
We say no dating on the trip.
Yeah.
That's one of our strong emphases. We actually have a whole story we tell about how God tested me and allowed me to really be challenged. Like, are you going to focus on hanging out with the young men, or are you going to hang out with this cute Czech translator, and choosing to like spend time with the guys and build relationships?
How old were you at that time?
I was 20. I was a freshman in college.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
20-year-old John, I don't know that I would have had that fortitude.
Made that choice.
So,
Yeah, it was.
So when did you guys start dating then? After you came back home?
Yeah. So I came back from that trip, and my world had just been blown and expanded, and seeing God working. But Jenny was an intern, and then she came and studied in the U.S. as a foreign exchange student for 6 months. And so when she was there, we started writing, and I was like, "Hey, you're in the same country. Like, it's easier to communicate." So we started just communicating, and then she had family in Southern California or Northern California, so she came out and was in California, and I was like, "Wow, that's great. Like, let's meet up and hang out." So long story short, it was over that Christmas break when she came to California that we actually met in person.
Oh, that's awesome.
And started dating.
So
That's
we
very
started
cool.
dating January 2006.
Yeah.
And then we got married January 2009.
Nice.
So lots of
Nice.
long distance,
Yeah.
but also him coming back to serve and me going, to America to meet his family, him meeting my Czech family. So it was a process.
That's amazing. And how many years have you guys been missionaries in the Czech together?
11 years now. We have been serving with
Wow.
Josiah Venture in the Czech Republic.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Super excited to kind of
Does it?
poke more questions at that as we go.
Okay. Can I ask one or no?
No, you don't get another question right now.
All right.
Just kidding. What do you got?
I was just going to ask if it feels like home yet.
Yeah. Home is a complicated idea for missionaries and missionary
Mhm.
kids and third culture people, because home can mean many different things.
Yeah.
So in some sense, home is the place I grew up in, Santa Clarita, Southern California. It's a house that I lived in for 20 years.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's when you say home, that's what comes to my mind.
Yep.
But now home is our apartment in the city of Olomouc, Czech Republic, in our church, in our community. So when I think being home, it's being
That's
in my
there.
apartment and our rhythms and rests and so on. But yeah, so home, I can feel at home in both countries.
Yeah.
And I've learned to appreciate things about both countries.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And I don't know, what would you say?
Like when we were coming here, the people, our friends and family in the Czech Republic said, "Oh, we are so happy for you that you get to go home." So America is home.
Okay.
But then we also have a home in the Czech Republic. Yeah. But when we moved back to the Czech Republic, me as a Czech person, everyone around just assumed I was coming back home. But I had lived in the States long enough to just feel change inside of me, like my preferences, the way I think, all of these things. So they were all saying, welcome home, but I was going through reverse culture shock.
Yeah.
So it's complicated, but
I get it. Yeah.
But it's a blessing to have two places that we call home. And I think it also reminds us that no place in the world will ever fully feel like home.
Yeah.
So then we talk a lot more about heaven than maybe some people who just have this one place that's like very stable that they call home.
Yeah. It's interesting. My son-in-law sent me something this morning from his devotional prayer book, whatever, and it was talking about how Christians were viewed. And I don't know the time frame that it was, but they were talking about them being sojourners. And I feel like it's interesting talking to people that have grown up in a specific area and never kind of moved around. They're much more attached than, like, I look at my life and I go, I really don't care. Like, there's nothing I'm necessarily attached to. There's things I like fish and chips. I'm always down for fish and chips, but
Right. All right. Well, we're going to dig a little more into that. I want to thank all our viewers and listeners for being with us, for just always continually tuning in. I think they're still with us, and I think we're about to give them what they've been wanting. Okay. Here we go. This is what everyone tunes in for.
The thing that hooks them.
We got another Oreo, folks.
Give the people what they want.
Here we go. If you are listening, I will tell you, but if you are watching, you can see we got Cinnabon.
They can already tell that it's Oreos by the way the packaging crinkles at this point. Yeah.
I mean, sound like Oreos.
Yeah, they're like, oh, here we go.
All right, another taste. Cinnamon bun Oreos.
Oh, he saved good ones for you guys.
So
we're glad.
I'm excited.
Fresh? Are they fresh?
They smell good.
All right.
They smell good. I like that. All right, go ahead and grab one. Everyone can go ahead.
Do you like the traditional cinnamon bun?
Yeah, I do. So we'll see how this compares.
Well, wait, is it cinnamon bun or Cinnabon?
It's I think they probably couldn't get the trademark on that, So cinnamon bun. And then,
Cinnabon, if you're listening, it'd be a great partnership.
Yeah, so here we go.
It definitely smells like a Cinnabon. You get the cinnamon smell.
He's got some stuff
like
there.
Fall.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh.
I smell maple.
Yeah.
There we go. Wow, we've already elevated our descriptors for this show. Holy smokes.
Smells like sugar.
Smells like Oreo.
Also, would you say that the very first Oreo ever was just the dark
Black.
cookie?
Yeah.
So this is the vanilla cookie.
Yeah,
I would guess.
vanilla
So
cookie.
I'm a vanilla fan. So this is already in a good space.
All right,
for me.
you guys go ahead and
it
taste
has
that.
no Reese's, which makes it even better.
Yeah, that John's a
Here we go.
hater. All right, let's see what you guys think right now. I hear the crunch.
Yeah.
So
Crunchy.
There we go.
Are you crunchy?
Okay, we that's the only descriptor we have. So please help us with that. If you could give us anything other than crunchy, that would be wonderful.
Definitely get a lot of cinnamon. Get the maple, vanilla. I think it's pretty good.
So I actually just tasted the cookie first. You can kind of see, like, I try to avoid the
Okay,
filling.
she's like an expert at this. Like,
Wow.
we need to take a lesson or something.
It feels like the cookie is just your vanilla cookie.
Just
so
a
it's going to be
standard.
all about the filling.
Yep.
That's going to be the difference.
Yep. Did you
What-
have vanilla?
What did you get, John?
Oh, I got vanilla and what'd you say? Maple. And
Cinnamon?
yeah, I think what's interesting is they nailed the flavor. Going for the cinnamon bun, they nailed the flavor of the cinnamon bun with the vanilla. I think it was super smart with the vanilla.
I think it's pretty muted. Like it's like slight flavors on all of it. I'm not getting like
Overwhelming.
a cinnamon bun. Like when you eat a cinnamon bun, you're like, man, this is like more vanilla and like more subtle
eases
flavors.
you into it.
Eases me into it.
Okay, but we need to say expert at the
I know.
table, clearly.
Yeah, can you give us something more than whatever stupid thing we just said?
I mean, it reminds me of the Trader Joe's maple cookies that have a cream filling in the middle. So it's kind of a mix between a cinnamon experience and a maple experience.
Yeah.
Okay, so where would you put it?
Now
John?
that you say that, I was at Life Group this week and they have the maple shaped cookie.
Mhm.
It's exactly like that.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive that I would not have connected those dots at
Yep.
all. So
We're glad
Okay,
to help.
not bad. Not my favorite, but I think it falls somewhere in the middle. We're about 8 in now.
So as my middle schooler would say, it's just mid. Is that
Mid.
just mid?
Mid.
There you go. That's 2 weeks in a row with middle school terminology.
I'm living with a middle schooler, man. I don't know what to tell you.
And do you guys notice you've all like finished your cookies and I'm still over here like
She's savoring.
Savoring.
small
That's
bites,
right.
analyzing. Okay, I'll finish.
Well, this hit a little place for me this morning because we walked by a bakery and there were Cinnabons that I saw and someone was walking out with one. I was like, "Oh, those look really good." So I got my Cinnabon.
There you go.
Thank you.
I don't know this completely would fulfill that
Satisfy
craving.
craving,
Yeah,
but,
not quite.
But it was something.
What would be comparable? Oh, sorry, you got to rate it first.
Oh.
Ah, man. So doesn't dethrone Posty in number 1.
No, not
Doesn't
chance.
take toffee at number 2.
Nope.
I still would put peanut butter at 3. This probably lands in that 4.
See, I would jump over peanut butter simply because I'm more vanilla
Okay.
than I am. That would be the only reasoning.
So
behind
you'd put it
They'd
probably
be
at
very
3.
similar, very close.
Okay. But it's not down in blueberry territory?
No.
No
So
Selena
we tried
Gomez territory.
blueberry pie.
Blueberry
Oreos.
pie.
We'll send you some.
Yeah.
They're a real
Okay.
treat. Maybe for your
Was
your,
that your
you
least
trying to get
favorite?
rid of them?
That's what
your
you're
small
saying?
group
Yeah, that
guys.
one's-
Okay,
that
so
one's
you
at
want
the
to
bottom.
send us your least favorite.
It's great.
Great.
Yeah. You got to try something once.
Maybe the Czech tongue. Maybe they'll really like it. It'll be like their palate.
Yeah. Well, thanks for playing our silly games here on the podcast. I appreciate that. We do want to get back to a little more about you guys and what you do.
So hang on, my question
specifically.
was because it's kind of centered around food.
Okay.
Okay, so you walk past the Cinnabon
Yep.
or whatever.
Bakery.
Yeah. What in the check would be like breakfast sweet? Like if I'm passing a coffee shop,
Yep.
that's
Mhm.
going to tempt me to try it
Yeah.
or have it.
There's lots of bakeries
Yes.
and they love their pastries.
Yes.
So it would kind of be like what you would call here maybe Danish pastry. So the
Uh-huh.
puff pastry filled with different things.
Yeah.
And then we also have kolache, which many
Mhm.
people who live in America in areas with lots of Czechs, they know it. They pronounce it with like the American accent, like kolaches or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
But it's kolache, but it's like these round things filled with cream cheese and sometimes
Yes.
fruit.
Ooh.
Yep.
And that's also really good.
Yep.
Yep.
And they also have a thing called the sniek, which is like a cinnamon roll. So it's
Oh.
similar to kind of like a Cinnabon thing, but it's got like almonds and cinnamon, and it's really delicious. I like that one too.
So crazy story. We were in Texas and my family has, or not my family, my wife's family has Czech heritage
Mm-hmm.
and kolachkis is
Yep.
what they call them.
Yep,
Is that
kolache.
like
Yeah.
really butchered well?
Yep.
No, that's good.
Good.
But it was like we had to stop and get some. They
Yeah.
saw,
Yes.
like you're driving along and there's just a
Totally.
billboard. They're
It's a
like,
must.
we have to go there. And so
Yeah.
So
we got
good.
those there.
But then I
they
think,
didn't taste, I don't know.
Yeah.
They didn't taste very authentic, but
yeah, but then Americans take it to the next level and they come up with like all these flavors that are not authentic.
Uh-huh.
Kind of like
Yeah.
one flavor of Oreos could be enough.
Yeah.
But like kolache, so we've heard there's savory kolaches
Yeah.
with like hot dog in it.
yes,
Like,
they
I'm
had
like,
them.
That's not
they had
right.
them.
No.
Yeah.
It's just not.
That's
okay.
not right. That's not
Yeah.
okay.
It's not Czech.
Yeah. They didn't look very appetizing. I would say that.
So for you guys, what does day to day look like for you, or week to week, like being missionaries in the Czech? What does a normal week look like for you guys?
Yeah, it's a great question. Lately, because now that I'm teaching at a Bible college, my schedule has been a little bit more rhythmic and kind of consistent. So Monday is the day set aside for studying and prep. Tuesday, I normally have a staff meeting, so I'm heading into the office. And then Wednesday, we'll have like meeting with students, student support. And then Thursday and Friday are usually teaching days. And so I kind of have that rhythm kind of set into my week. And then weekends, we have our youth group Friday night, and then Sunday church. And I have small group on Sunday afternoon. So during the school year, it's a little bit more consistent for me with kind of that schedule of prep, meetings, and then teaching. But the summer then is very different because we're traveling, we're doing camps, we have a lot of other activities. We have teams from Heights coming out. But for me, this last couple of years has been kind of on that schedule because I'm prepping and teaching with students.
Yeah, we work for an international organization that is in 16 plus at this point. We're saying countries
Wow.
in Central and Eastern Europe. And so different missionaries have different roles.
Yeah.
And so I would say that all of us started with local. Like we are all part of the local church. We all help out in the youth group or college group. We're under the leadership of the church. We want to bless the local church. So part of our job description every week is like, what is happening in the local ministry? What can we be part of? So we have rhythms like youth groups, small groups, one-on-ones, leadership team meeting for the youth group program and things like that. So every Josiah Venture missionary has local. But then we also might have regional or national. And then
Okay.
Landen and I are on a team that is also focused on international. So we have a
Oh, wow.
special team that is focusing on all of the countries and what can we cook up here that will bless all the countries so they don't have to provide
Yep.
it for themselves. So Landon's in the higher education team. So he's thinking of equipping theologically all of the 16 countries because it's not possible for them to have resources for theological education in every country.
Mhm.
And I'm on a team that's focusing on missionary care because our organization has grown so much that we're realizing we need to make sure that our staff are healthy and thriving so they can be doing the missionary work.
Yeah.
And so my team is focusing on all kinds of things from just like skills, equipping how to, share the gospel, how to study the Bible, all the resources, but we're also providing counseling, marriage care, singles care. And I'm on a smaller team that's providing language learning resources and cultural adaptation. So I think our weeks are kind of split where there's always something local and there's always something to bless the whole international movement.
That's really special. It's not very often. Normally, when it comes to missionaries, you're so zeroed in on just kind of your little neighborhood, so to speak. But that's really
right.
How many people were in Josiah Venture when you guys started?
So we joined, I came in 2005. My first experience was partnering with the Josiah Venture English Camp, but we joined the organization officially in 2009.
Sorry, the organization 2000.
We got married in
2009. That's a very important
That's
date.
an important date.
And
we
from
joined the
then-
organization in 2014.
14.
Mixed up my years.
Yeah.
So married in
Important
2009.
dates. Yes.
Important, both important though.
Yes.
It's just
And then we moved to the Czech Republic in 2014.
14.
So at that time, the size of the organization, I'm guessing, I don't know the exact numbers, but
280.
yeah, probably like 280.
And at this point,
now-
it's around 400.
Yeah.
Wow.
But what's really cool is that it started with 2 American families that just moved to that part of the world.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
One to the most eastern part of Czech Republic and one to the most western part of Poland to be right next to each
wow.
other,
Yep.
but trying to, be in 2 countries.
Yeah.
And it has grown from that to this huge organization. But what we're excited about is it's becoming percentage-wise more nationals than Americans.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because it is our dream for
Yep.
the nationals to have
Yep.
a heart for their own countries
Yep.
and be
Empowered.
able to be full-time missionaries in their countries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting to hear you say that. So from my background, I arrive at Heights, and within 6 months, the lead guy at the time looked at Colby and I and went, you need to revamp missions for Heights. And it was interesting because I came in with the same burden and Colby had the same burden of how do we empower people that are empowering nationals?
Yeah.
And because I'd seen it so much in my life where the missionary gets sick or something happens and they have to leave and the work stopped because God's always going to
Right, but it's
be
dependent
sovereign.
on them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's been something that's kind of been a drive to go, that's kind of a filter almost of it may initially start with this, but the view has to be, how does this become sustainable?
Right. Well, and it's fascinating. If you study the history of missions, oftentimes what happens is a missionary will come in and some of their most fruitful work is training up a national who then is able to understand the culture better, knows the language better, and has a lot more impact long term. But the missionary, their key role is to identify some of those key leaders, train them, equip them, and empower them to go back to their people.
Right. Yeah.
And so we've seen that. And that's why in Josiah Venture, our philosophy really is to train up nationals, to see them empowered and to see them be able to go back to their countries with a passion for the gospel.
That's awesome.
That's really cool.
And Jenny is one of those.
It's true. I'm one of them. And it meant so, like, I remember being 16 years old when I met American missionaries for the first time at a camp.
Yeah.
And I was just blown away that they would like leave their land and go to my place. I mean, my language is not easy.
Yeah.
And so for them to, work there, speak like kindergartners sometimes and just like be, humbled and love on us and be among us, I just was blown away. So I think the fact that I am now on a team that gets to do missionary care and pour back into these people is just really
well,
sweet
and
for me.
your perspective's so unique.
Yep.
And to be able to support well
Yeah.
is really, really cool that God's kind of positioned you to be able to do that, which is special.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, our heart is that people would get to know you guys as a part of our family, an extended part of our family around the world, which is incredible. And so I want to thank you guys for being with us over the last, how long it's been, teaching in multiple places, specifically this last weekend, teaching as well. So thank you so much for your message.
Yeah, so
very,
good.
very good message. As you were talking about that,
I'm so glad we didn't do an interview. like we were into 9:30 and I'm like, I'm so glad that God was like, no, just have them teach.
Have them teach. Yeah. No,
So
that's,
glad.
That's amazing.
I was honored. So thank you for the opportunity.
No, I'm
absolutely.
We were blessed. So thank you.
And I'm glad I only got to be there for 5 minutes.
Yes.
That was a good deal for me too.
Perfect. It worked out for everyone. That's awesome. So in your message, you were sharing, how God is present in suffering, and you shared some examples in the first couple of years of your guys' ministry of what that suffering looked like and how God was present. For anyone listening, like how do we know He's there when we don't feel it or we don't see it? Like we know God's present and we see it throughout Scripture or whatever, but man, when we're going through it, it's oftentimes so hard to feel God or see God. Like how do we know He's present in that?
I think that's one of those profound questions that we all wrestle with, and we go through seasons where we're asking that question, right? Like, how do I know God is with me? I can't see Him, I can't touch Him, I can't physically have a conversation with Him. How do I know He's hearing me and is present? I think for me, one of the keys has been to know and see God's faithfulness in the past. And so reading Scripture and reading Exodus and seeing that story, which we talked about this weekend, one thing that's amazing about that is you have a record of how God met people in suffering and what He did to deliver them. And that's why even for the Jewish people, like the Passover and the Exodus is one of those events they constantly go back to remember, because it gives them courage and faith in the moment.
Yeah.
But then also, I think so we can look historically, we can go back to Scripture and see God's faithfulness to His people throughout history. But then also, I know for me now, I turned 40 this month, so I've hit
congratulations, by the way.
midpoint in life, right? But I have enough life experience where I can go back and say, man, I saw God be faithful to me when I was in high school. I saw God be faithful to me when I was in college, And when we started out as missionaries, it was like, man, we have to raise this support and this money. We got to get people. And you feel at the time like, is anyone going to partner? Are we going to be able to do this? It seems overwhelming. And now I can look back and I'm like, man, God provided, and so many people. We've been in ministry for 11 years. He's provided. And so I just think remembering that, recording that, and then in those hard moments, like those first 2 years where I felt like, God, you've left me. Like this is just wave after wave. One of those things that kept me grounded was seeing His faithfulness to get us there and the provision that we had confidence. No, our church affirmed that. People have affirmed this. People have sent us. We're where God wants us, but He's allowing us to be refined and humbled, and we have to walk through this. So those for me have been two things. Historically, what God has done in His Word and remembering that, and then in my own life. I think that's been crucial.
Yeah. I think that every time we've gone through something really hard, for me, emotions, go up and they are the loudest. And I feel like those emotions then attract lies about God, lies about myself. And I think like I'm always really moved by passages in the Bible, like in the New Testament, where Jesus is talking to someone who's sick and says, "Do you believe?" And he says, "I believe, help my unbelief." So that passage helps me feel better about like how conflicted I can be inside, where I can tell God, like, I believe, but my emotions are going crazy, or my pain is so loud. Please help me believe in you.
Right.
Or in the Psalms, there's so many Psalms that will, describe the pain, describe the confusion. And then it will say something like, but I will yet praise Him. And so I feel like I try to preach the gospel to my heart because my heart can be a blessing in my relationship with God, and it can completely lead me astray, especially when we're going through something hard.
Boom. That's mic drop right there.
That's so good.
Clip that one.
Right.
Beard, you got us? We got to clip that one. That's one for going for
You can't
social.
say beard. You got to say new beard.
New beard. Yeah, we
New
had another
beard.
beard, but he's...
Well, he's kind of
We
not new
forgot him.
anymore.
Right,
He's
yeah.
been here long enough.
Yeah.
Maybe it is just beard. I don't
Oh,
know.
that's so good, though.
And it's interesting because you guys were there when Steve spoke, and he mentioned the first 2 years
Yes.
being
Yeah.
really difficult.
Yes.
And then to hear your testimony and go, man, there's a pattern here too.
Mhm.
What you mentioned humility.
Yep.
Like what else would you say in that refining of those?
Right.
Because you're still doing the things that you have to do as missionaries, what you were sent to do,
Right.
but you're in the midst of the pain
Yeah.
speaking loud.
Yes.
What were some takeaways maybe looking back
Yeah.
that you go, wow, we wouldn't have got this, but this was kind of the diamond that was sitting in the midst of it.
Yeah, I think first, it does seem to be a pattern you hear for many missionaries is the first couple of years tend to be very hard.
Yeah.
And part of it's just cross culture and you're just language you can barely speak and everything's new. And so there's just an inevitable part of that will happen
Yeah.
wherever
Right.
you go in the world if you're going to a different place. But I think for us, it did feel like it was above average. It did feel like it was more than typical. Like
Yeah.
all those things, that we went through was a lot. And yeah, like the image that the Bible oftentimes uses, like a metal being refined by fire, right? Like that, like God gives us these trials and he's removing stuff from our lives that is not good and healthy. That image has been a helpful one for me. And I think if I were to look at my life, when I went to the Czech Republic, I mean, I was coming off just finishing seminary. I was leading a big high school ministry of over 100 kids. I was kind of like, this rising star in our church. And like, I just was pretty
Yeah.
confident in myself
Yeah.
and probably viewed myself probably higher than I should have. And so I think part of that was God was just like, okay, you think you're this great, Christian leader and missionary. Like, I'm just going to remind you, I don't need you.
Yeah.
And I'm going to remind you that the faithful life is not about just how great you can be in speaking. And so there was a pride thing that God was taking out of my life for sure. I think there was a dependence on him that needed to be strengthened. And also I just think he was testing like, do you really believe that I am what you need? Like more than anything else. And even with the issue with children, like, I mean, it was a pretty humbling question to have to ask, like, God, can I still love you and live a fruitful life if I never have any children?
Wow.
And that was not like a question I thought I was going to face that I have to actually answer my first 2 years as a missionary. But that was one of the questions that I was confronted with. And so all of these things where I really felt like God was just testing my heart. Do you really love me? Are you really committed to following me? And are you really willing to give up everything?
Wow.
So that was part of, there was a lot that God's done through that. And so, there are some jewels. I think that God has just brought refinement in my life that I would look back and say that was extremely painful, but I also see God has grown me and strengthened my faith through that. And so I'm thankful for it, even though it was for sure one of the hardest things I've ever
Thanks
gone
for
through.
sharing that.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. And even, sharing, most of the time we hear Christian leaders that get on stage and share about amazing things, not difficulties.
Yeah.
And people relate to, life is hard,
Yeah.
right? Life is difficult.
Yeah.
The reminder that he is present in the suffering is huge.
Yeah.
One of the things you also said is how when we are present, we get to be his hands and feet.
Yeah.
But the truth is life is busy, right? Like life is
true.
crazy. So how can we balance life and be present enough to be his hands and feet wherever we find ourselves?
What a crazy, sorry, just my brain's still processing backwards.
Yeah.
What a crazy, is dichotomy the right word of, because I'm sitting here relating like, oh my gosh, like there's so many stories we could sit and share for the rest of the day of God just bringing me to the end of myself, right? And yet in the same breath, he gives gifts that are kind of front and center in a way, or are putting you in the midst of a space where you're going to be looked up to, right? And admired in some way.
Right.
And then you're the hands and feet.
Yeah.
Like it's just such an interest. Sorry. Connecting the dots between the suffering and the lesson of humility, and it's beautiful, right? Like I think that's the space we're supposed to live in. And yet in the midst of that, he also wants us to keep stepping forward and out, which
Right.
it feels like
They do go together.
yeah.
The more that you are humbled and you think less about yourself, the more you're able to be present with other people.
Oh, that's good.
Right? Because you're
Yeah.
not just focused on what do I need and what's my, image and how can I promote myself, but it's like, okay, I'm going to sit here. I'm going to sit with a high school Czech guy that no one in America is ever going to know, and it isn't going to make me famous, but I'm going to listen to him tell me about his life and his hardships. And I'm going to genuinely care because it's not about me.
It's good.
And so I think that's been part of it, is just through the humbling and the suffering, God has allowed me to have greater empathy and be present with people in their suffering. And I think you could share also just in your journey with the girls you mentor.
Yeah, I think I was really like through the process of moving back to the Czech Republic and being there and then coming out here sometimes, but this is not our home. Like all of that transition, I've been confronted with the mindset of the grass is always greener on the other side, where I think like when we lived here, I loved it here, but I was also homesick. And I think my mind made up this idea of like, okay, once we move to the Czech Republic, like I will just feel fully content because that's where God has us, like in my mind. And then we moved there. And the first 2 years were the hardest years of our lives. And it was very easy to start daydreaming back on like, oh, when I would walk through Trader Joe's, like, and everybody smiled at me and like American customer service. And so your mind just plays games with you where it feels like the lie is that it takes you somewhere else than where you are. And so you're never fully present. So you cannot be the hands and feet because you're always evaluating what is in front of you to your ideal in your head. And I really had to learn to look at a situation when my mind wanted to be somewhere else, like season of life. I could say like, this is, I'm hanging out with my girls in my small group. And there's a part of me that is like, this is so amazing. I get to just be the spiritual mom. And there's a voice in my head, but you wanted to be a mom to like your own children. And so you put those two together, you can compare that. It's like two completely different things. And of course, in my head, being a mom will win. Yeah. And so it will like cloud that holy moment with these girls. Yeah. So my mentor had to teach me to say, it's different, but it's good. Yeah. And just to get to say that, fully believing that, every time I talk to her and tell her about another moment that was different but good, she cries because when we started our calls, I wasn't able to say that genuinely. Wow. So I feel like there's just a huge piece, like humility is one of them. Yeah. But another one is believing there's no grass greener on the other side. Yeah. Yeah. God has you where you are, even with the pain or with broken dreams. But this is your life and it's different than you thought, but it's good. Yeah.
Yeah. And I also would say like, we haven't figured out how to master being busy and making time for people. Like it's hard, I think we're always in that challenge of like, we always feel like there's more time we'd want to give to students. There's more time we'd want to spend with our neighbors. And then we travel and we go to different events. And so part of it I have found is just looking and trying to just take it one day at a time, 1 week at a time, and just saying, okay, like, Lord, what opportunities do I have now? How can I be faithful where you have me? But then also just wanting to be intentional to always being open to relationship, open to conversation. Like we talked about this, on Sunday, like having the vibe or the aura of our life that like, come in, you're welcome. It's not like I'm so busy, I don't have time for you. Yeah. And so that's just something we've tried to embrace, that posture. We have people in our homes. We try to be generous with our time, but we're still trying to figure that out too.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's the challenge too, as leadership circles change, right? And as God entrusts more, it's navigating those new seasons to go, okay, but we don't want to lose the heart that we had here. We don't want to lose I can think back to the middle school pastor days where it was like my whole life was just these middle schoolers, right? And how do you love them? And how do you, and now it's worried about like, wait, Lord, where are you leading the church? And what are you doing? And staff. And, I just think it's that tension. It's a good tension. My favorite word of the last probably 2 years has been "and," that this can be true. And this is also true. And sitting in tension and living with it.
Yeah. That's good. Well, thank you again for your message this weekend. Kind of tie a bow on the weekend. It was an incredible weekend. We saw, I think 70 people be baptized this weekend, which was
Amazing.
I heard it was
unbelievable.
67, but
Oh,
Yeah.
you just want to say that. 6'7". Yeah, a lot of people get baptized, and a lot
it
of
was incredible.
just
Both
cool
both
stories.
spaces was
Yep.
incredible.
good stuff. Let me ask you guys this couple more questions for you if you're not already done and you're like, is this over yet?
Great.
All right. What do you guys see God doing in the Czech right now? Like, where is he moving in your ministry and the spaces that you're touching right now?
You know, when Landon came in 2005, he started relationships, and I also had relationships. So even though we moved to Czech 2014, I feel like we have been seeing what God has been doing since 2005. So because there's, social media and all that stuff, you get to be connected to people. And then Czech Republic is a very small country. So you can even visit someone from your, previous season when Landon came out or something. And so we are now invited to weddings of kids who were like 14 when they were at our first camp. We're now seeing them getting married with a Christian spouse, raising Christian children, even though their parents were not Christian. So we're seeing the first generation, which was our huge dream. And, King Josiah, because Josiah Venture is named after him. King Josiah was a teenager when he became a king, or young kid, and then a teenager. And he, during his reign, the Israelite nation just really turned to God. And so we are seeing this first generation of Christians become youth workers, leaders in the church.
So
we know kids who were non-Christian punks at our first camp, and they're now pastors. So it's just, that fruit has been amazing. We could tell story after story.
That's amazing. God's faithfulness is amazing, but your guys' longevity in that is a gift as well.
Yeah, it's that Eugene Peterson. Long obedience.
In the same direction.
Right. And I think that's one of the gifts that we've been there now for 11 years. We've been serving for so many years in the camps, and we are focused on trying to reach that younger generation. But what we're noticing is they don't stay young forever. They start to become adults and they get married, and now they're having kids. And so now it's also thinking through, like, not just young leaders, but then also like who are leading and influencing those young leaders. And so, like, it's just incredible to see people who now they're in their 20s and 30s, and they're thinking, okay, how can I start giving back to the kids that are now in, junior high, high school, and even in the school we teach, we're really focused on trying to equip people in Central and Eastern Europe that have a heart for the local church and have a heart for the youth, that they can get trained and then go back and do that. And so, I mean, we've had graduates who are now pastors. We have graduates who are youth leaders, who are worship leaders. And it's just incredibly encouraging to see so many people with a heart for the gospel, for the church, and for the young generation.
You guys both have mentioned the camps. Can you just give us a little more picture for anyone listening who isn't quite sure what is a camps like? What do you guys do? What does it look like?
Yeah. So Josiah Venture's been involved with camps pretty much from the beginning. There's a fun story of how the first English camp happened, but basically they started out with being youth camps teaching English, because these Czech teenagers were like, hey, if you organize an English camp, our parents will send it. I'll send us to it. They'll pay for that. And there's just been this long history of doing English camps for high school, college age students. And so Jenny and I have been involved with that. I mean, I've probably been to over 20 English camps, if you do all the math. But so it's just a week in the summer where you're going out to the mountains, and we bring Americans or people from the UK, native English speakers, who come and teach English, because Czech youth want to speak English. They don't have the opportunity to speak to many native English speakers. And so we bring English speakers, and then we also just tell them the story of the Bible, and we tell them of God's love, and we tell them the gospel in the context of learning English, spending time with Americans, and then also just having all the fun camp things, sports and hiking and all that.
And what's cool about these camps is that you might think, okay, it's just evangelistic, but actually these camps do several things all at the same time. So I went to my first camp when I was 16, and I'm from a Christian home, but living out my faith was so complicated. I had no idea how to share my faith with my classmates. I didn't know if they would be interested. And then I went to this camp, which was primarily evangelistic, but they wouldn't tell Christian kids to not go. So I went for the English. I didn't really know that it was going to be, that Christian. And then I witnessed how these American missionaries in such a spontaneous, personal way were sharing about their lives with Jesus. And I was like looking around the room at all these non-Christian teenagers listening to it and asking questions. And I was like, I guess my peers are interested.
Wow.
And I was like seeing how to do it.
Yeah.
So that was in the summer. So then September, went back to school, to my high school. And I just like became this evangelist because I wasn't afraid. I saw someone model it for me.
Yeah. So good.
Also when these teams come or when missionaries come, it opens the eyes of the local Christians. Oh, I guess we could be more bold. Because when Americans come, they're like, they have nothing to lose. They're going to, leave anyway if they offend someone. But of course, like we don't want to offend. But it's just, you come with so much more confidence. And I think also this positivity that like, it's going to be okay. We're just going to have a nice conversation. You come with smiles, with energy. And the chicks and Oreos,
Oreos.
But the chicks might be more shy. They've also been turned down by many people. And so you just bring so much courage to the Czech church when you come as a team.
And Heights has sent a few teams, like, so at the camp specifically, like, what does it look like if someone from Heights, someone listening or watching the podcast right now going, well, what would it look like for me to go? Like, what would they be doing? What would it look like for a team to go? I mean, because we, on our side, even for me, I'm asking because I know what it seems like sending for you guys receiving a team. What does that look like?
Totally. Well, first, I mean, it's been incredible. Heights has sent many teams to come and serve with us. And then more recently, they've sent 3 teams this last 3 years to help us with our English family camp, which is not a typical English youth camp that, we've done in the past that we were just describing. But our church has found that there is just a large community in our city of people who are connected to the church, who are not believers, but are families. And they really desire to have a safe, positive environment where they can go in the summer and there's not a lot of drinking and partying. And it's just a really healthy week. And so we've been doing this English family camp for many years, but the last 3 years with Heights, you guys have sent out a team and you've had people who are in their later stage of life, maybe we'll say, and then you've had high school, college age students. So it's been a mix. It's really been like a multi-generational team that you guys have sent because the camp is multi-generational. So there'll be grandparents and parents and kids that are non-Christians who are connected to members of our church. And they want to come and they know we're going to be speaking English and they know we're going to be talking about stories from the Bible, but they appreciate it and they're open to that. And so we've actually seen people become believers through the camp, get baptized, join our church. And it's also a good challenge for the members of our church to think missionally. So like 3 years ago, one of the things we happened was we rented out a bigger hotel, but it kind of meant like, okay, we got to fill it. We've put down the deposit. And so our leader was putting a strong encouragement to the people of our team, recruit your friends, get people. And so we ended up having like 3 or 4 new families come that year because we had more space. And now we use that hotel every summer because we're just having more and more people coming. So the Heights team that comes is multi-generational. So we've even had children. Like one year, Colby brought Liesel, who was like 7 or 8, and she came. And she was in the kids program and she spoke English well. So that was great. But we'll have, so multi-generational, but it is really, the key thing is to have a heart for building relationships with Czech people. We'll teach you the basics, but being able to speak English, conversational English, and then being able to just do life on life and be present with people throughout that week at the camp. And it is obviously travel. So you do have to have some physical stamina and you do have to be able to hike and all that. But yeah, I mean, we've had a wide range of people and they've been a huge gift and we've loved having Heights send teams to us.
That's awesome. Well, I know people who've gone on the trips, it's always a big blessing for them too. And so
my daughter who turns 26 today, happy birthday, baby. She today is her 26th. She was there.
She came out to our youth camp.
Yeah. She was great.
She still speaks very highly of the experience and she's my kid that doesn't like to miss out. So going back is something that's there, but
that's awesome.
Well, and it's one of the things I have found, being a college director and sending people for many years when I was stateside and now being in the Czech, receiving Americans and, short-term teams. It's just a beautiful part where you see God change both partners. Like the Americans that come, it is a profound experience. And I know because it changed my life when I was 20. to come and to go to a foreign culture and see God working, partnering with other believers in a different country, a different church, and seeing the Spirit move. And you're like, wow, God is working all over the world.
Mhm.
And you can hear that, but actually experience it really changes your perspective. And then, of course, it's a huge blessing to our church. And so it's this win-win. And I love coming back and hearing students. Yesterday at church, we ran into like teams from 2 and 3 years ago who came out to see us and hear me teach. And just like taking pictures with them and hearing how they're doing, it's like, oh, it's so good. And two of the guys, I recorded a video to send to one of our students back in Czech because they wanted to send him a message, And so it's just, I love it. It's so encouraging.
Yeah. Those continued relationships are always so amazing.
Yeah.
So good. Any other questions you have, John? You're just burning with questions.
Wow, you just put me on the spot now.
I know.
No, I was just going to say it was really fun to see the difference in, was it a decade? Is that the time frame to see that? And just your guys' faithfulness and also the impact, right? Like it's only over time you get to actually see, well, wait a minute, now there's pastors in the church that were this kid that was climbing up the walls at whatever camp, driving you crazy.
That's right.
Yeah, or smoking outside.
Yes.
Yep.
Right. You start to see fruit when you have enough time of faithfulness, of plowing and planting and removing the weeds. There does start to be fruit, and you see it, and then you start to be more and more encouraged. But at the beginning, it feels like all you're doing is just plowing, and there's nothing. But we've been there now 11 years, and there's many stories that are just testimony of God's faithfulness.
But we love that it's God's movement and God's ministry, not ours.
Yep.
So there have been actually many stories where maybe we just were part of sowing the seed somewhere in their timeline of life.
Yeah.
And then we left. So we had one kid, maybe it was like 2010 English camp where we were living in America, but always coming out. And he was like so disrespectful. He didn't want to be in the evening program where we, share Bible stories and testimonies. He would always be smoking outside. And it was just a challenge to even connect with him. But Landen would try his best, like standing outside while he was smoking a cigarette and just, secondhand smoke. But he was just there. And we left that camp wondering, did this make an impact? And so that was in 2010. We moved to the Czech Republic 2014. And we went to a training for just Czech young leaders on how to preach from the Bible. And we see this young adult, and we're both like, he looks so familiar, but we couldn't place him, that can't be, and then we came up to him like, Vojta, is that you? And what are you doing here at a how to preach seminar, and it's like, yeah, I became a believer a year after that or something. And then I was leading the youth group, and now I'm actually preparing to become a pastor. So he's now a pastor at one of the biggest churches in Prague.
Wow.
And
so good.
God saved him, and we were just this one little place on that timeline. So we really believe this is God's movement, and we just get to be faithful with the little he gives us,
So good. So good. Well, thank you for sharing the stories. Thank you for being with us.
Yep.
Thank you for being our global partner for so many years. Yeah. It's incredible. For all of our viewers and listeners, if you've made it this far, you're part of the End of the Podcast Club. There we go. That's why
that was kind of a lackluster end of the podcast.
You didn't bring much energy to that.
Yeah, that was... I wasn't sure if I was supposed to do it. I mean, I guess whatever.
Have you ever not done it?
This is true.
Yeah, what in the world?
So we started this
you acted like you weren't ready for it. I didn't know that was going to happen.
I was like, well, I didn't know. Yeah, okay. All right. 49 episodes in, and this is where we are.
This is how we made it.
Unedited.
Yeah.
Unedited. Well, I want to thank all our viewers and listeners for being with us, for making it this far. If you made it this far, please rate and review the show. Go ahead, give us that 5-star review. We'd love to read it on the show. Smash that like
we only
button.
ask for 5 stars, so
Okay.
We'll
do it.
We've only gotten 5 stars.
There you go.
I'm just saying.
There you
that's
go.
because that's all we ask for. But that's good. That's good. Well, such a good opportunity to get to know our global partners, and Global Month as a whole has been
okay.
incredible.
I'm going to make a shameless plug. Is that okay?
Go for it.
Okay, so Global Month is about getting the gospel out, right? Like seeing it go out. Yeah. You're listening to this. If you are a faithful listener, the 5-star review, it's not, I know it sounds like it's for us. It's not for us.
Right.
When you leave a 5-star review, what it does is it pushes it out to algorithms. It pushes it into people's spaces because they think, oh, this is worth putting in somebody's way.
Yep.
Same with the like button on YouTube.
Yep.
Right? We joke about smash the like button, but at the same time, like it has to do with hitting people's algorithms, and who knows what God will do with it because it's his movement.
Yep,
So.
exactly. If you have a question you would like for us to answer on the show, please, we'll be back to answering questions next week on next week's episode. So go ahead and send in those unedited at heightschurch.com. You can email those questions. We'd love to answer those. We don't have many in the stockpile, so we need some questions to be coming in there. All right, final thought for you today is this. Wherever God has put you is where God wants you, and it's not always easy, but God is present in it with you. God has brought you there, and God is going to see you through wherever he's put you. So trust him, even when it looks like you're on your own. We know that God is present with us, and we need to be present in the places that God has put us. Thank you guys so much. We love you. We'll see you next week.